was 9/11 an inside job?
9/11 was not an inside job. I completely understand why that conspiracy exists. The reason 9/11 happened goes back to what you've already said is true about government. It is a shit show. Government is innately inefficient. Most people that work for government are not competent to be working for the government. That's why they're there. If they were competent, they'd be making more money doing something else. The vast majority of them did everything they could to get a government job and now stop doing anything that might compromise or risk their government job. So they do exactly what they're told. They live in a very small, very safe box for 30 years so that they can collect a 50% pension when they're 65 years old. All 9/11 was CIA and FBI not speaking the same language, not talking to each other, even when they had corroborated, valuable intelligence that the 9/11 Commission in 2003 concluded would have prevented 9/11 from happening. And they just didn't talk to each other. They were so bad at talking to each other that we had to create the Director of National Intelligence, the DNI. Didn't get created until after 9/11 because of the 9/11 Commission in 2003. For those of us who have a little bit of gray in our beard, we remember a time before TSA.
Oh, yeah. People could walk you up to the gate. Yes. People could meet you right after you walked out of the plane.
It was crazy, right?
Yeah.
And that was the world that we lived in. So what we've got now, we've forgotten how different we were then. And pre-9/11 CIA, pre-9/11 FBI, pre-9/11 intelligence community, IC, was completely different than it is now. It's just, I can explain to you the anatomy of a conspiracy and why people want to hear the conspiracy, but the point is, we're just too embarrassed to admit that we're just incompetent. It's so much easier to digest if we believe somebody fooled us.
I think it's because we grew up thinking that government officials have authority, they're intelligent, they know things, they have a badge, they have a moniker, they have a thing, and oh my gosh, they're wearing a suit, and they should be revered. And then we get older and we go, we want to believe the thing that we have always believed, which is they know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. They're running our freaking country. And there's a great quote, I can't remember it. The quote was, never chalk something up to being nefarious if it really comes down to just being incompetent.
Absolutely. So you're talking about a razor, an analytical razor, and that razor is an adage or a truth. And the truth is, never subscribe to conspiracy, that which can be explained with incompetence.
That's the quote.
Yep. And that is just like Occam's razor, which is another analytical foundation that says that the simplest solution is often the most correct, which again goes right back to what happened on 9/11. Some fantastical conspiracy that's still kept secret, or people just fucked up and bad things happened.
Okay, what about Epstein? What do you think about that?
The Epstein thing is really interesting. So I understand where people are coming from thinking that he was an asset. What I think might be off is what kind of asset people think he was. We're so hooked on this idea that he was a CIA asset or a Mossad asset because we heard from spokespeople in government that he had an intelligence connection. We're completely forgetting about the fact that FBI also has assets. And FBI assets can actually be protected from trial if they cooperate with the FBI. And how did Epstein make his money? How did he have the connections he had? Through criminal endeavors with super wealthy people offshore. He's exactly the kind of person that FBI would want to bring on as what's known as a CI, or a covert informant, clandestine informant. He's exactly the kind of American citizen that FBI would say, if you cooperate with us, we'll grant you amnesty in the court for any criminal activity that you do on behalf of supporting our operation. So now that would basically tell him either cooperate or go to jail right now for all the charges that we already know you're guilty of. It would be an easy solution for him, and it would be the kind of solution that would make it so that when his files were reviewed later on by the Trump administration, they understand that there's a contract between him and the government, and they can't compromise that.
They can't release it.
Because if they release that, they're basically telling every confidential informant everywhere, from now until the end of time, your agreement with us is not going to be honored.
Why the hell do people not say that out loud? That makes so much logical sense.
Yes. It's KISS. It's keep it simple. It's Occam's razor.
Now, what they're doing is they're teasing us with, like, I'm not really into the Epstein stuff. I really don't care for it. I think politically, Democrats, Republicans are using this piece of information that they know probably can never be shared.
Yep.
And they're using it against each other, just going, let's see who can play with this ball better than the other one. And, Trump right now is like, I don't know why you guys are so obsessed with this Epstein thing. And Democrats use it because they're like, holy crap, Trump is doing all this stuff. We got to slow this freaking guy down. And they're using something they know can never be shared, according to what you're saying. It makes so much logical sense. Because if the FBI has these files, maybe they exist, maybe who knows if they even exist, and you release those things, all of the other CIs are going to go, I'm never going to work with you.
Yep.
I'm going to stop giving you all the information because I know it's going to be shared with everybody in the world. But the FBI can now show other CIs, see how we will never, under no circumstances, release this.
Exactly
Gosh,
right.
It makes so much sense.
You were thinking exactly like an intelligence officer.
What about him killing himself? Did he kill himself? Was he murdered?
And that's what's so fascinating. So because of the kind of crimes that he was engaged in, it puts him on like the fast track to violent crime inside a prison. Molestation, sex trafficking of children. When you hurt children,
you're
criminals
gonna get killed.
do not look kindly on that. So
Right.
it's an instance where we have two very simple solutions. Simple solution number one is he really was killed in prison, and that the culture of prison was such that they're going to cover each other's backs because the guy got what was coming to him. Simultaneously, the fact that footage is missing and he could have been a confidential informant, he's prime time for someone to exfil him, a formal federal government official to trump every rule of the prison, to go in and show a badge and be like, he's coming with us, and you're killing the recording. Again, another simple, clear, legal solution. So here we have two competing hypotheses that both fit our razors for analytical consideration.
So we'll never know.
We'll never know. If we ever do know, it's going to get us closer to understanding whether or not he was truly a confidential informant for an internal law enforcement agency.
It would make sense that he was. It would just make so much sense that he was a CI for our own internal side.
And for those people looking for justice, if he wasn't killed in prison, if he was exfilled and he is under witness protection, his life is not what it was before, because witness protection is not a lavish life. Witness protection, people who become informants against their country and exfil to the United States, or like Edward Snowden, who exfilled to Russia, you're only kept in a comfortable lifestyle for 3 to 7 years. And your comfort is not wealth. Your comfort is just solid, lower middle class comfort. You have air conditioning. You can afford to buy groceries. After that, your utility as a source decreases, and you kind of have to go find your own job and make a living for yourself. So justice is coming to that guy one way or the other. Even if we are protecting him because of our obligation to have him as a CI, he's not living high on the hog.
Yeah, he was living like a billionaire and doing all these crazy things all the time and living the life, and now he's living in a shed somewhere in freaking Nantucket.
Yeah, now he's got a fucking prefab that he's living in, sweating his tail off, and he's not making any money, and he doesn't have access to a savings account.
CIA believes that all people are born with a spy secret superpower. For some people, that means they can win deals. For others, they can spot liars. Some can even seduce lovers. I built a free 3-minute test to help reveal to you exactly what your secret hidden superpower is. All you have to do is click on the link in the description below, take the test, and start using your spy superpower to stay ahead of 99% of people.
And he can't obviously have extravagant things, or else it would bring limelight to where he's at, what he's doing, et cetera, and they're not going to let that happen.
Exactly. He's cut off from his network. He's closely watched. And
did they actually show his body after he was killed?
I don't think they've ever shown a body. I don't think they've ever shown any footage of what was captured to show that the body was even deceased.
Interesting.
I think it's a full break in anything visual.
Okay, so how do you feel Trump has done in this first presidency or this second presidency?
He's taking risks. Donald Trump is acting like a business owner.
Yeah.
And I think for us business owners, we understand it. We see it. There's a part of us that appreciates it, but there's also a part of us that recognizes these are risks. Moving on the tariffs. The tariffs were a brilliant idea because it's just the 5 principles of sales, or the 5 principles of economics, that he was controlling. He knew that we controlled the largest market with the highest buying force in the world. And if we want to increase tariffs, we can.
We have the leverage.
We have the leverage. You're going to keep selling to us, and you're going to pay more to keep selling to us because you want access to us. That's a good move in the short term, but we don't know what that's going to be in the long term. And you see it now playing out as people wonder about Fed and interest rates and treasury and inflation, because we all understand we did this. We've never done it before. We did it at scale. It had foreign policy implications as well as financial implications, but we don't know what's going to happen next. And that's kind of the theme with Donald Trump, is he's taking aggressive, risky action. We don't know if it's going to play out or not.
Do you feel like he's really, like, why the hell would anybody want to be a president? I think you're a lunatic to a certain degree. I wasn't built for that. I don't know that you were built for that or have the motivation to do that. I think you have to be a very specific type of person. But do you think somebody like Donald Trump wants to be president because he understands the game and he goes, this is the place I can be the most powerful business owner in the world and I can control more, essentially creating his new shed, saying more protection, more safety, more leverage, more relationships, more control, more this, that, and the other. Is it just a power grab, or is he actually motivated, do you think, to actually change the world?
I would say it's a mix of both, and I'm saying that with cautious optimism. But the vast majority of why Donald Trump is president is because it's a power grab. It's a huge win. And then just like, I mean, for everybody who didn't listen as you rattled those things off, let's review some of those. Think about the network he has. Think about the name recognition he has. Think about the leverage he has. Think about the security he has, right? Now, I'm not talking about like Secret Service. I'm talking about the security of all the amnesty that comes with being a former president. The dude is a box jumper, and he creates his own boxes everywhere he goes. Sometimes he created those boxes by making great real estate investments. Sometimes he created those boxes by abusing the legal system. Sometimes he used coercion and force to force other people to do his bidding, and other times he used charm and manipulation to get what he wanted. He constantly is box jumping, and that's what makes people hate him, is they can't define him. What makes people love him is they can't define him. So one way or the other, he is in the role. You have to respect the office of the president, because like you said, who wants that job? I don't want that job.
Hell no.
But he's there. He's doing it. He's done something unprecedented by being a president, and then not being a president, and then being a president again. Like, that is fucking crazy.
Bonkers.
Bonkers, man. And that is something that will go down in history forever. And the name Trump, the legacy is secure. Whether or not we think he does a good job or a bad job.
I think he cares about his kids a tremendous amount, same as you and same as I do. And I think a lot of your activities, my activities on a daily basis, are creating boxes for our children to jump into.
Yep.
And if you are the president, you can set up crazy good deals for your kids, right? Your kids are now doing foreign affairs, and they're over here, and they're setting up real estate deals in a management thing over here, and they're running this, that, and the other. His kids are basically saturating the whole entire world because of these relationships and these doors. And people will go, I want to be around Trump, and I want to have his favor. So if I have to do something for his daughter or as this or as that, I mean, he's setting up his kids they're already set up for life, but he's basically making it a permanent solution for his kids to be safe for their whole life, and his grandkids, which is awesome too. One thing I really like about your philosophy too is that you believe that life isn't fair, and that once you understand life isn't fair and that you can play the game, people are pissed off that it's not fair, but they can wake up and realize, like, oh, I can play a game too.
Yeah.
What I like about Trump is he doesn't play a fair game.
No.
He gives permission to guys like you and me that if I understand the rules of the game, I can go play that same exact game, fair or not fair. People that don't love the not fair world, what would you have to say to them? Like, oh yeah, okay, keep complaining, keep doing your thing, or you can just play the game the same as us.
So we were talking about how our government built us and how the revolutionary forefathers built us, right? And we have to understand that when the country was built, not everybody was equal. If you weren't a land-owning male, you didn't have a say. And I'm not saying that was a good thing, but I am saying think about what that meant. What that meant was our forefathers were trying to lay a foundation where if you didn't have a vested interest in the country, you didn't count. There are lots of people who don't have a vested interest in the country. They don't even have a vested interest in the company that they work for. At best, they have a vested interest in the 401k that reaches maturity in 7 years. But they're not trying to own land. They're not trying to build business. They're not trying to build value. They're just trying to survive, or they're trying to enjoy the ride, right? Our country was never built for them. Whether we like to admit it or not, it was never built for them. That is also the same group that likes to talk about how unfair things are, how unfair it is that corporate executives make millions of dollars a year, how unfair it is that people can increase their prices, or that the coffee shop down the street can close their door at 2 p.m. when Google Maps says it's supposed to be open till 4, right? They all complain about how unfair and wrong things are, not realizing that their whole opinion about what's unfair and wrong is based on something that was never part of our foundation. Our country...
I love this explanation so much.
Our country was built for people to be in control of what they care about, whether it's their kids or whether it's their business, understanding that at times it's the planting season and at times the weather's going to keep you from planting.
It's like walking into a McDonald's and being pissed off that not everything's made out of tofu. It's like, that's not what it was built for. What are you even in here complaining about? Okay, cool. So it kind of gives an explanation to those people. It's the same thing with the people that will say that let's say you're a scam artist because you're a sham, or you're a government plant, or you're X, Y, and Z, that, they go pepper in comments and stuff like that because they don't like the things that you're teaching. Those people I don't know that they're ready to learn. I don't know that they ever really want it. And it seems like maybe the system was just not built for those people.
It wasn't. And the system has a place for those people, but nobody wants to hear what that place is. Because guess what every land-owning male had to have?
Workers.
And what did those workers do? They worked at the farm. They worked the plants. And when they got too old, they were kicked out of the farm and their salary was cut off and a young person was brought in. And when they complained too much, they lost their job and somebody else was brought in. And when somebody came in at a cheaper rate because the economy changed and you could get work for cheaper, then the expensive person was cut and the cheaper person was brought in. That's how the system works. We can complain about it. We can be angry at it. We can say it's unfair. We weren't built to be a fair country. We were built to be a superior democracy based on representation and economies of scale, which by default wasn't fair. We won the American Revolution by not fighting fair. We went into World War II and won World War II by not fighting fair. We manipulate our currency. We keep our stocks high. How? By not being fair.
Right.
If we were fair, we would lose all of our competitive advantage. So why do you think that you should be paid fairly based on what you think you're worth? You want to be paid more, show the person who's paying you that you are worth more.